All right, so picture this. You're brainstorming some new marketing ideas, right? And you think, okay, maybe some social media stuff, maybe some ads. And then you hear that Airbnb built a real-life replica of the Up House
With balloons.
with balloons. Yeah. Makes you wonder, what were they thinking?
It does seem a little out there.
And that's exactly what we're going to try to figure out today. We're diving into this article from Cub think tank called The Economics of Airbnb Icons to figure out why they did this and what we can learn from it.
Sounds fun.
Okay, so right off the bat, the article hits us with this crazy fact. Top travel companies are spending billions of dollars every year on Google Ads.
Wow.
Booking.com alone spends something like $3 billion.
Yeah, that's a lot of money.
It is. It's wild. And it kind of makes you think about this economic principle that applies to, like, all of us, the law of diminishing returns.
Yeah, basically, at some point, you can keep throwing money at advertising.
Right.
But you just won't get the same results that you used to.
So even if you're a huge company with tons of money, you can't just rely on ads forever.
Pretty much.
Yeah.
Which is why this idea of earned media is so important.
Okay, so for anyone who's not familiar with that term, what exactly is earned media?
It's basically like getting people to talk about you without you having to pay for it.
Okay.
Like think word of mouth, but like supercharged.
Yeah.
It's the articles, the social media posts, all that buzz that happens because your brand did something interesting.
I get it. And the article mentions that Airbnb's CEO, Brian Chesky, he said that the Up House got twice as much media coverage as when they went public.
Wow, that's pretty impressive when you think about it. Going public's a huge deal.
Absolutely. It makes you wonder, like, how much would they have had to spend on ads to get that same level of attention?
Well, the article actually tries to put a dollar amount on all that buzz.
Yeah.
They looked at that viral video of the Up House. You know, the one with like millions of views.
Yeah, of course. It was everywhere.
So using standard YouTube CPM rates, which is like the cost per thousand views, they figured that one video alone was worth somewhere between $96,000 and $480,000 in ad value.
Wow.
And that's just from the video.
Yeah, you're right. Think about all the articles and blog posts and people sharing it on social media. It all adds up.
Exactly. That's the real power of earned media. It just keeps building and building.
So how does all of this connect to this idea of unscalable magic that Brian Chesky talks about? What does that even mean?
He's basically saying that sometimes the best way to get attention is to create a really unique experience, something that can't be easily copied or mass-produced.
So instead of trying to reach everyone with a generic message, you do something so cool that people can't help but share it.
Yeah, you create something remarkable. And
Yeah.
then if you connect that back to Airbnb's bigger picture, things get really interesting.
Okay, I'm listening. What are they trying to do besides just getting people to book rentals?
Well, they want to be more than just a place to find a place to stay. They want to be known for offering experiences.
Oh, I see. So the Up House wasn't just a random PR stunt. It was part of this bigger plan to change how people see their brand.
Exactly. They want to appeal to people who are looking for something more than just a vacation rental. They're looking for something unique.
So it was less about the immediate impact and more about setting themselves up for the future.
I think so. And the article argues that this whole idea of creating buzzworthy experiences instead of just relying on ads could be the key to their long-term success.
That's a really interesting thought. It makes you wonder, what's the equivalent of unscalable magic in your own life or career?
That's the million-dollar question, isn't it? But before we get too deep into that, let's explore some of the other ideas in this article. There's a lot more to unpack. You know, it's kind of funny how they took this house from a cartoon and turned it into this big statement about their brand.
Yeah, what do you think that statement was? Like, what were they trying to say?
Well, think about what the Up House represents. It's about adventure and breaking free from the everyday and, you know, going after your dreams, stuff like that. And that really speaks to people, especially people who love to travel.
So it's like they weren't just rebuilding a house. They were trying to capture a feeling.
Yeah, exactly. And in a world where everything's starting to look and feel the same, that's really powerful, being able to connect with people on that emotional level.
So they were selling an experience, not just a service.
That's a great way to put it. They weren't just saying, hey, book a room with us. They were saying, come and experience something amazing. Come live out your dreams.
Which goes back to their whole thing about being all about experiences, not just being a place to book a rental.
Exactly. It's a smart strategy because it lets them reach a much bigger audience. It's not just people who need a place to stay. It's anyone who wants to create those, you know, amazing memories and have those special moments while they're traveling.
I think a lot of people are looking for that these days, authentic and unique experiences.
Definitely. And it's not just about the immediate impact. It's about setting yourself up for the future. This uphouse thing wasn't just a one-off publicity stunt. It was a carefully planned move to really shape how people see their brand moving forward.
So they're kind of planting the seeds for a future where Airbnb is more than just a place to stay. It's a place to find these truly remarkable experiences.
Precisely. And I think there's a valuable lesson there for all of us, no matter what field we're in. It's about thinking beyond just the transaction and figuring out how to connect with people on a deeper level.
So how can we actually do that as business owners or creators or whatever?
Instead of just focusing on what you're selling, ask yourself, what kind of experience am I offering? What kind of emotion or story am I inviting people to be a part of?
So it's about finding creative ways to connect with your audience on an emotional level.
Right, because when you can do that, when you can tap into that emotional core, that's where the magic happens.
It reminds me of that quote, people will forget what you said, people will forget what you did, but people will never forget how you made them feel.
Exactly.
Mm.
And I think that's something that Airbnb understands. They're not just in the business of renting homes. They're in the business of creating memories and helping people connect with each other.
So even though the Up House was a one-time event, the lessons we can learn from it are pretty universal.
Totally. It challenges us to think differently about how we approach marketing and branding and just our overall approach to connecting with people.
What are some unconventional ways that we could connect with our audience on a deeper level?
Think about what makes your brand unique. What are the stories you can tell? What are the experiences you can create that will leave a lasting impression on people? And it doesn't have to be something huge or expensive. Sometimes the simplest ideas can be the most powerful.
So it's about finding that sweet spot where your creativity and your brand's values and your audience's needs all come together.
Right. And when you can find that balance, the possibilities are endless.
I'm really feeling inspired by this conversation.
Me too. I think it's a good reminder that we can all create a little bit of magic in our own way.
Before we move on, is there anything else from the article that you wanted to mention? Anything that you thought was particularly interesting?
Oh, actually, yeah, there was one thing I wanted to touch on. The article talked about how Airbnb embraced the fact that the Up House was a limited time experience. Not everyone could do it. And that actually made it even more appealing.
You mean like that whole idea of scarcity?
Exactly. It made people value the experience even more because they knew it wasn't something they could just do whenever they wanted. It created this sense of urgency and made them want to be a part of it even more.
So how can we apply that to other businesses? How can we create that feeling of scarcity without actually building a one-of-a-kind house?
There are definitely ways to do that. You could offer limited edition products or services, or create exclusive events, or even just use storytelling to highlight the unique things about your brand that people can't find anywhere else.
So it's about finding what makes your brand special and then showcasing it in a way that makes people feel like they're part of something exclusive.
Yeah, exactly. You want to make them feel like they're part of something special, something they won't find anywhere else.
That's such a powerful concept. It's like tapping into that basic human desire for connection and belonging and exclusivity. So we've talked about a lot of interesting stuff today about Airbnb and the Up House and all that. What would you say is like the main takeaway for our listeners?
I think the biggest thing to remember is that in a world where we're constantly bombarded with ads and marketing messages, the best way to stand out is to create something truly remarkable, something that people just have to talk about and share.
It's about thinking outside the box, right?
Yeah, exactly. The Up House is a perfect example of that.
Yeah.
It was bold, it was creative, and it really captured people's attention.
And they did it by tapping into that sense of adventure and wonder that I think a lot of us are looking for.
Right. They understood that people are craving more than just stuff. They want experiences that are meaningful and memorable.
So for our listeners out there who are trying to apply these ideas to their own work or their business, what advice would you give them? Where do they even start?
I'd say start by thinking about what makes your brand or your work unique. What stories can you tell? What kind of experiences can you offer that will really connect with your audience on an emotional level?
It's about finding that perfect blend of creativity and authenticity and understanding what your audience really wants.
Yeah, and don't be afraid to try new things. Sometimes the craziest ideas are the ones that end up having the biggest impact.
So it sounds like Airbnb's success with the Up House wasn't just about marketing. It was about understanding what people really care about and creating something that spoke to them on a deeper level.
I think that's a great way to put it. And it's something we can all learn from no matter what we do.
Well said. Well, that wraps up our deep dive into the economics of Airbnb icons. Thanks for joining us, and until next time, keep exploring, keep asking questions, and keep diving deep.